White House is firing back at the federal courts that have blocked or paused several of President Trump's orders. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the rulings are coming from liberal judges acting as judicial activists.
Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority.
Some of the White House orders that have been blocked or paused right now by the courts include the dismantling of U.S. agencies for international development, a ban on birthright citizenship, sending transgender women to men's prisons, and also the freezing of federal grants and loans. Some Republicans have defended the role of federal judges, and they've pushed back on the notion the White House would defy court orders. Trump has clarified that he will comply with rulings, and he will appeal those that he disagrees with. Federal defense attorney Ronald Chapman II joins us. Good morning to you, and thanks for being here. Has the administration, in your mind, legally, or any federal judge overstepped their powers so far?
In some cases, I would say yes, absolutely. Here's what we have. We have federal judges in some districts acting effectively as traffic cops. What they're supposed to do is ensure that nobody steps outside of the constitutional bounds. But in these cases, it does seem like there's been some legislating from the bench, particularly in the birthright citizenship case. That being said, that's exactly what the district judges are allowed to do. This is the process. This is our Constitution at work. It's messy, it's not pretty, and in some cases, we just need to wait for the appellate courts to make a decision on this, including the Supreme Court.
If the president ignores a court order, what consequences would there be?
Well, there could be an injunction in place, which in this case, we've seen at some district court levels. That would be appealed. But if the president flagrantly ignores it, there's I suppose, a potential for impeachment. I don't see President Trump ignoring any of the injunctions. I think that the case that I've heard made for the potential for Trump violating some of these injunctions hasn't really been that strong, and I haven't seen any moves towards it. And in fact, he's indicated that he will comply with them. But I think ultimately some form of impeachment, and certainly Congress could step in to try to deal with it.
Speaking of impeachment, Elon Musk calling for a judge to be impeached for blocking Doge's access to the Treasury Department data. Is that worrisome, and do you think that that's a legitimate threat?
Very unlikely. Federal judges are obviously appointed for life. To see a federal judge removed from the bench, very, very difficult thing to see. In fact, I can't even recall a single case in which it's happened. Generally, we have appellate courts that would step in and issue an order taking care of a situation if we felt that a district judge stepped outside of bounds. I will note, though, we have a very conservative Supreme Court in this case. And as these cases start to bubble up, the Supreme Court has generally limited executive authority over the last few terms. I expect they're going to do the same thing here, which ironically is somewhat what President Trump is looking for.
President Trump, as I mentioned a moment ago, said he would appeal any decision he disagrees with. Other than the birthright citizenship case, which other case do you think will end up in the courts and may be up for a battle?
I think the most epic battle here is President Trump's actions with respect to certain funding, USAID and other funding. He's trying desperately to cut a lot of funding in the federal government. There's a significant pushback, and there's a real question, and this is generally called impoundment. There's a real question as to whether or not the president has the ability to cut this funding. Generally, when it's designated by Congress for a particular purpose, the president can't step in. But here we traditionally have had a Congress that has not specifically delegated the allocation of funding, which could allow the president to take action against it. So these are going to be some very interesting battles, and the grand finale is going to take place in the Supreme Court.
Boy, indeed. Ron Chapman, thank you.
Thank you.